Found out recently that people froth at the mouth about you stealing art from people. Listen, it's something that I've spoken about many times on streams. Yeah, I've multiple times been like, here's every time I've been canceled. But they really misrepresent it. They really, really, really misrepresent it. And I try not to downplay that because I did do something wrong. But what I did is not what they say I did. Basically, I used to just redraw stuff all the time. Like I was just redrawing. I would take official art and I would redraw it. You know, this is a redraw. The person signed it themselves. They did not credit the original artist. Really common thing to do. Really, really, really common. I was doing it all the time. I had videos at the time of me doing it. I was very publicly open about the fact that I was redrawing stuff. It's super common. It's also common to do it without saying it's a redraw. If I go through like Evangelion fan art, it's not even uncommon for people to not address that something is a redraw. Because like if you're doing it off a screenshot, well, people know, you know what I mean? So very common thing to do. What I did wrong was unknowingly redraw someone else's fan art. I assumed it was official. I have the exact screenshot of the website that I took it from, which I don't know why it was called this. I basically just Googled Sekiro and then picked something to redraw. This is the exact thing that I redrew. I just did like what's a very common learning technique, which is you put like grids on paper and then you grid the art. Probably learned to do that in school. That's where I learned to do it. So you just copy something off of a grid system. I didn't realize it was fan art. It's very good, to be fair, but it also looks like the official art. I assumed it was official. That's all it was. And so I redrew it. I did publicly in the comments. There are tweets, comments publicly. This tweet is still up. People just conveniently ignore it. From before anyone got mad at me. It says, oh, it's more than I'm sharing that it's not an original design, which does make things a lot faster. I just copied an image, which makes proportions easier. There are a bunch of comments I left publicly like that before anyone got mad at it. They were like, oh, no, this is a copy. Like I said, I was doing it all the time. I assumed everyone knew that I was doing it. I was publicly open about it, but I redrew somebody else's art unknowingly. As soon as I found out that I had done that, this was like 7 years ago for the record. As soon as I found out that I had done that, I took it down, I apologized, I DM'd the artist and offered to pay them, and I never did it again. I don't know what language that is, but nothing on the page, you know, there was no signature, it was different language at the bottom there. See, I don't know what it was. None of it said any indication that it wasn't. But yeah, as soon as someone was like, hey, wait, this is stolen, I took it down and apologized. And people take the takedown as me like trying to hide it because I got caught, which what I actually did was realize I had made a mistake. It wasn't like I did something and got caught and was like, oh no, everyone's gonna find out. Like I realized I had done something wrong, you know? But yeah, publicly apologized at the time, 7 years ago, I think 6 or 7 years ago. And they now present it. Again, I did do something wrong. That's why I don't like dismissing this one. I'm also super open about it. I did do something wrong. I should have looked up. But they present it as though I literally downloaded it and posted it like someone else's art, even though when you look at a side by side, you can see that I have redrawn it. It's so clear it's a redraw. The tweets are still up where I said it was copied. It wasn't hidden. It's just a thing that I did. And it's, again, very common for people to not even address that something's a redraw. But yeah, like I never want to downplay this one. But, of course, the worst people in the world don't see it that way. You didn't do something wrong, you made a mistake, and it sounds like you took responsibility. I'm in agreement, I made a mistake. I think I did do something wrong. I think I should have looked harder. I should have checked. I did say it openly, publicly in comments before I got in trouble, and those timestamps are still there. They just ignore them. Yeah, I had people be like, when are you gonna address this? I addressed it when it happened 7 years ago. Why do I have to address it again? And also, if you're dumb enough to look at those two side-by-sides and not go, oh, she copied it, and you actually think I just downloaded, like my drawing is clearly different, then I don't know that there's any fucking help for you. It's not a big deal at all. Again, I did something wrong. Do I think the internet has blown this up as some giant, like weird, insane thing? Yes, but that's because they want to, you know? Is redraw a common term? I actually didn't know that it was until there was like a bunch of artists defending me who were like, hey, this is a redraw, people do it all the time. I would just say copied. If I redraw your redraw, who do I have to credit? I don't know the answer to that. People do learn to draw by redrawing. It was also like, the way that I shared it was like, hey, just sat down to do, again, and I was doing it all the time. Like I wasn't trying to get a job as an artist. I wasn't selling it. It was just a thing I did for fun. At the time I was doing it really, really regularly, to the extent that like I assumed everyone in my audience, in fact, everyone in my audience did know I was redrawing. Sharing videos of me redrawing. It's just like when it takes on a voice of its own outside of your community is when things blow up. And I am really bad at thinking about that. I tend to think that I'm this like tiny little creator and nobody watches what I do. And then I go viral and I go, my bad, I didn't know. It's really fucking good art. She forgave me. She was chill about it in the end. She was hostile initially, and I was like very confused because it was in a different language, and I was like, is this person mad at me? I can't figure out if this person is mad at me. And then I think yes, and then when we spoke, she was chill, and I just never did it again. Seems like redrawing is a good common way to practice art. Totally. Sorry. The point I was making there was that I just used to really enjoy it. It's a very chill hobby. You just look at something and you redraw it. Like I do the same thing with life drawings where I've like redrawn. Doesn't quite count when it's a life drawing, but I guess it's still technically the same principle. Like some flowers or a bouquet or a pot or whatever. You just look at something and you redraw it. It's a very relaxing thing to do. That's all I did. If I was selling it or claiming it was my original art, that'd be a problem. Totally, yeah, I agree. If I was trying to sell it, though, I mean, I did do commissions, but they were all video game screenshots. So like I did like years ago do commissions where I would redraw a video game screenshot, but that feels a little different because I was taking something from 3D to 2D. You know, like I redrew something from BioShock, I redrew a Master Chief one time, but it's still the same kind of principle. And I did sell those because the person sent me the screenshot for me to copy, you know what I mean? But yeah, did not try to sell it, publicly open about selling it, was publicly open about it being a redraw. It is what it is. They really blow it up. Have I any works that are completely your own and original? Yes. In fact, somebody has something that I drew by myself that is tattooed on them. But the truth is I'm just not very good artist in that way. Like I prefer a redraw, which I am quite good at redrawing, but I'm not great at like visualizing something. I'm not great with proportions, so I have a much more fun time redrawing. And again, not as a job, it's just a hobby, right? I used to share those too, but I don't do this anymore. I said this in a video, but a redraw is your art. I drew it. I certainly fucking drew it. It's just so weird that they pin it as you stole this. It's not stolen. It's copied. And again, publicly said it was copied.